Well, I mean, we'll be celebrating 9 years in December, so
Celebrating what?
9 years together in December. It's the joke was always everyone's always like, well, how does it feel to get married? I'm like, the same, just with a ring.
You know what? My first marriage was at 40.
Yeah.
I never wanted to get married. I didn't believe in it. But when I married my first wife, I didn't believe in it. I didn't believe in the institution of marriage. It just didn't, wasn't for me.
Yeah.
Like you didn't believe in Santa Claus.
No. I just didn't want it. I wanted to be the eternal bachelor.
Yeah.
Travel the world, business, money, but then when I married for the first time,
I think that's how every guy's mind.
Yeah.
I love the institution of marriage. I really did. I loved my wife. I was very happy with the structure, with the partnership. So I fell in love with the institution of marriage, and obviously it didn't work out. With my first wife, she's an amazing woman, but yeah. Then after that, I was
First marriage?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
First and last. First and last.
Cool. Whole time.
That's always the plan.
Yeah.
Always the plan. Wow.
So today, guys, we're sitting with Dr. Dangond. Dr. Dangond is obviously a professional doctor, but he thinks outside the box. His practice is outside the box. It's what medicine used to be.
Yeah.
Medicine actually knew your great-great-grandfather, your grandfather, and everything from their health to the family. And his practice is this is what the Dr. Dangond's practice is.
Awesome, and that's a great conversation that us as men don't usually have. We don't usually have it. We wait. We ignore things. We push through pain.
Yeah.
There.
100%.
And we deal with it. Sometimes when it's already too late. That it becomes a problem. So doctor, do me a favor. For the audience out there.
Sure.
If you could introduce yourself, give your 30-second elevator sales pitch, please.
Yep. So my name is Juan Dangond. I am a family medicine physician, board certified, very young in terms of the lifespan of a doctor. I've finished my residency back in 2023. So I'm 3 years out. And as of October of 2025, I've opened my dream, my passion project, which is my own clinic, something that is very rare these days, something that is very difficult to do within the traditional healthcare system, just due to lots of factors over the years, things that happened long before I was born and then when I was much younger. But what this practice believes in is in the model of direct primary care, which basically, in as short as way as possible, like Esteban was saying, is trying to get back to the old school, but bringing in a lot of today's modern benefits like text messaging, immediate phone calls, video phone calls, virtual visits. And then what we pride ourselves in is in making sure that our practice is a much more personalized space. Our initial consultations are going to go for about an hour to an hour and a half, depending on how much history there is to talk about. And in that time span, I really get to know the person, and I like to do close follow-up. And then finally, once we have everything that we need, of course, regular blood work and whatnot, that's where the real magic starts to happen, which is when people realize that when I tell them you can actually call me and I'll get back to you the same day, if not the day after, that's really going to happen. And we're going to have text conversations and phone conversations, and you can do it while you're at work or when you're busy without having to interrupt your day, which is part of why men feel that they need to postpone a lot of their health concerns, is because, oh my God, I got to provide for my family. I got to do this with the kids. I got to do that for the wife. I got 1,000 business meetings, and you get to the weekend and it's like, well, now it's the weekend. And of course the doctor's office is closed. And so we're very flexible in how we take care of our patients and how we make ourselves available. And that's so much more that we're going to be talking about today, I'm sure, but that's kind of the gist of what direct primary care is all about.
Awesome. Amazing. Yeah, I'm a patient of Dr. Dangond. I'm just a quick little backstory of how I met him. We went to urgent care. My wife had some symptoms, and that's where he walks in. And, cared for her at the moment. And he slightly spoke about his practice. But the whole time, and just the moment I met him, I was like, this is a nice guy. And he's young and so forth. And I like that. You know, a lot of doctors, you know, they're very stiff. You know, they don't look at you. Actually, they do. They look at you and they tell you, okay, this is what you have. They don't touch, they don't observe, they don't go back into your family history. So I said, you know, I'm gonna give it a try. I'm gonna call him up. Just randomly left him in his car, and I called him up. My first sit down with him, and we went all the way as far as like my grandparents asked me about. No doctors ever asked me, how's your family life? You know, are you married? You know, what's going on at home? You know, and I was like, what? And he's right. You know, he's like, yeah, everything has to do with your health. You know, it's your home, it's your work life, it's everything. It's an effect on you. So, you know, when I sat with him the first time, I was just like, dude, this is amazing. The practice. You know, now we've had maybe 4 conversations or 5 conversations since, and he's getting to know me more, getting to know my lifestyle and so forth. And here I am sitting with him because I want to promote Dr. Dangond, because I think that that's what practice should be. That's what medicine should be. I think that modern medicine has really lost its taste. It's lost the path that it should be in. You know, it's not about us anymore. It's about what they can prescribe to you, how much money they can make. The pharmaceutical industry is just killing everyone. You know, I'm one that I try to take less. Oh yeah, I take less. To me, less is more. You know, if I don't have to take any pills, I won't. You know, and I just feel like working with young doctors like this that have vision of what it should be and how it was before. I think it's phenomenal.
It's great you mentioned that. It does take a change of mentality.
100%.
We as humans, we evolve, we change in every way. So why not these practices that have been around since the beginning of time, right? So Dr. Dangond, something that we do on our podcast is kind of like an icebreaker. With the motorcycle riders, we call it the road ready check.
Okay.
But in your case, before we get into the blood work and the panels and all of that stuff, can you give us your physician's road ready check? What are your 3 non-negotiable daily habits?
Okay.
Oh, it's good.
That you believe every man over 40 should adopt to ensure that our engine doesn't fail.
Got it.
Amazing.
Well, full disclaimer, I turned 35 in July, but I do take care of a lot of men in their 40s over the course of my career. And yeah, I think 40 is a good starting point. But honestly, guys, I think even as early as 30 or 35 is a good time to start these, like you say, these 3 daily habits. If I had to choose 3, it really is the basics, but it does take a more conscious effort to address them. So number 1 is sleep. We need to focus so much on sleep. People are not getting enough sleep. There's a lot of distractions in today's world. Our phones, the ease of access that we've allowed other people to have for us, not just in our personal lives, but our professional lives. What do I mean by that? You know, getting emails after hours, getting text messages after hours. I mean, the whole sleep thing, I feel like, starts with that. It's about setting boundaries for yourself. You need to cut it off at a certain point. You have to decompress when you get home. You have to take a moment to reflect on your day. And you don't want to, if you can avoid it, you don't want work and your professional life to roll into your personal time, which affects your sleep. You cannot go to sleep after you've just answered an email. You know what I mean? You cannot go to sleep after you've spent only 5 or 10 minutes thinking about your day tomorrow. You really need to do a mental decompression of your day, of what happened that day. Take a deep breath and then put it aside. And then when you finally get to bed, your bed needs to be your place of sleep, your place of rest. So that's got to be number 1. Number 2, definitely has to do with the way that you eat throughout the day. And this is probably something that most people aren't really focusing on, but where you're choosing to place your carbohydrates, your proteins throughout the day makes a massive difference, because it's a small change and it does have a long-term effect. Something as simple as, for example, trying to limit your heavy carbs at lunchtime, right? A lot of people are used to taking the sandwich, taking the leftover pasta, taking the rice and beans, right? We're all Latinos here in Miami, so it's like, you know, the leftover rice and beans, the maduros, the we call it patacones, other people call it something different. You cannot be eating that stuff at lunch on your 30 minutes or an hour at work, because you're gonna crash. You guys are gonna crash. Save that for the evening time. You deserve it, right? Make the evening meal be that delicious, you know, meal, but lunchtime you got to be careful with that because you're gonna crash. It depends on your day as well, right? So it could go both ways depending on your day, but we focus a lot on how we eat depending on what our day requires of us. So if your day is, you know, heavy mechanical work, lots of physical labor, then perhaps that makes sense for you. But if you're an office worker like myself, if I have that kind of lunch, I'm out. I'm done. My brain shuts down by 3 p.m. Oh yeah, the itis. So that's 2. And then number 3, that's a tough one. I think this one's variable for most people, but I think it's starting the day off right. I think it's starting the day focused. I think it's, if it's your coffee, if it's your tea, if it's none of that stuff, but it's giving yourself a moment to wake up, to get through the day, to kind of just think about what your day's going to hold for you, and then try not to become distracted by the things. So a lot of this comes down to planning beforehand. What is tomorrow going to bring? What's the next day going to bring? And then how do I make sure that today is about today? So just keeping the checklist items in order, and that helps you just cycle through the day and keep organized instead of becoming flustered and overstimulated by too many things at once, which again is a problem with our phones and the ease of access and the phone calls and the emails and the text messages. And it's like nobody's considering that we need time to think. You can't think when you're getting bombarded by a bunch of messages and a bunch of phone calls all day long, right? So you got me cold on this one, but I would say those are the 3 ones at the top of my head that at least I focus on, and I think it's super important to focus on as we get into our later years.
That's
Just
beautiful.
off rip.
Beautiful. It's mixing. It's combining the spirit with the physical.
100%.
100%. You know, and a lot of people they don't do that. They just focus on the physical, you know, the health wise and so forth. But you also have to, you know, you have to have balance.
Yeah.
Your spiritual has to I guess connect with your physical.
Well, it's funny you say that. For those of you that don't know, you know, when you look at my name and the letters that I've received as of becoming a physician, I'm not an MD, I'm a DO. That means Doctor of Osteopathic Medicine. For all intents and purposes, we're equal. We can all prescribe, we can all perform surgery if we go that route, we can all deliver babies if we go that route, we can all order blood work and whatnot. We all know the foundations of medicine. But the reason I chose to become a DO, Doctor of Osteopathic Medicine, is for exactly what Esteban is saying. So one of the most important tenets of osteopathic medicine is that there needs to be a mind, body, soul connection for healing. Okay, it's not just, you know, pill 1 for problem 1, pill 2 for problem 2. We need to align the 3 components. And that doesn't mean you have to be spiritual or religious. Religious. What it means really is just your physical body needs to be connected to your mental health, and then finally that spiritual component, that intangible. It's not just your mood. It's what guides you, right? That alignment of who are you, what is your purpose in this life, what are you trying to achieve, and then how does that need to align with your mental health. Do you feel well? Are you tired? Are you depressed? Are you anxious? And then, of course, is your body running like a well-oiled motorcycle? You know what I mean?
Speaking of well-oiled motorcycle, my bike needs a oil change. I noticed it this morning.
It's so refreshing to hear that.
Yeah,
100%.
So refreshing to hear.
You said it right, man. It's refreshing.
Yeah,
100%. Love it.
I
love it.
Just to share a little bit about me.
Yeah.
My background, I've had over 25 years as an athletic trainer.
Okay, cool.
So my coaching and consulting with my, athletes is a lot of combating. Oh, your doctor told you this, but don't listen to that. This is really what you should, be trying to do, and eat at this time, and make sure you rest, and make sure you recover. And it's so important. And if you really want to perform in A, B, C, and D, so to hear you say things like this is so refreshing. So I definitely appreciate that.
And I love that response to when I say these things, because I say this all the time. It's like, to me, none of what I'm saying is novel. This is what I was taught. This is what I went to medical school for, and then what I trained in residency for. And then to tie it all together to what Esteban was alluding to in the beginning is what's going on with medicine lately, I think it can be summarized in one simple statement. It has become overly transactional, and it's no longer personal, right? It's no longer a
100%.
relationship.
It's not personal anymore.
Medicine was never intended to be transactional. I mean, if we want to dive into the history of hospitals, just as an example, hospitals were places that were not meant to make a lot of money. They were places where sick people would go to seek care, and doctors would get paid, of course, and nurses and whatnot. But it was places of sanctity, of healing, of relationships. Doctors' offices used to be places where you used to know everybody, right? Family medicine. That's why I chose family medicine. I chose family medicine because I love the idea of understanding not just the person in front of me, but what's been going on at home. How did you grow up? What environment did you grow up in? Are your parents educated people? Are they more laborers? That impacts who you are today. That impacts the way you think. And so we have to tie. There's so much more to medicine than just your numbers are going up or down, and let's work on that. It's not. It's a relationship, and you cannot do that in 5 or 7 minute consultations, which is unfortunately where medicine has devolved into because it's become transactional. So this practice model, this direct primary care system was started 20, 25 years ago by doctors much smarter than me, I always say, who saw this coming, who saw today coming, who saw the problems of today coming. And they were like, we can't do this anymore. We have to step away and find a different way of doing things. And that's what this is all about.
Action with her. I just walked in, sat there for 15 minutes. Finally, she comes in. She looks at me and she said, you got this, you got that. Does anything, any pains? Oh, no, it's okay, perfect. Signs me up. Okay, see you later. I'm like, what? She didn't even touch me, man. Like,
Yeah,
not that I want her to be fondling me, but I want her to, like,
Yeah.
check my throat,
Oh, you want me to be doing that, right?
Yeah. Bro, that's a thing. That's a thing.
Now, let me interject on that real quick because I'm so sorry that was your experience, but I do have to step in and defend my colleagues to some degree. For the most part,
We're not here to bash.
No. But allow me to explain. You guys have given me the forum. You guys have, I mean, this is the perfect forum to discuss this because unfortunately, the way that you felt is a byproduct more of the way that doctors are being forced to practice.
Yeah.
And not how we were taught to practice.
100%.
Okay. And that's what I was saying. I'm still fresh out of my training in a way, as opposed to some physicians that have been out in the workforce for 20, 30, 40 years now. They got trained the same way that I got trained. That's the beautiful thing about medical training is that it's so standardized. It's so perfect that you can trust when you see DO or MD on somebody's name. You have to be able to trust that they got all the training necessary to be able to actually take care of you. But because of the strain on today's medical system, for reasons we don't have to get into in detail, it has to be fast. It has to be quick. It has to be bare bones. It has to be just the basics, because then there's no time for the rest of that doctor's day.
Yeah.
So a lot of doctors really, really would prefer, I'm sure, to be able to do things this way: hour-long appointment times, or just 45 minutes if the person doesn't need it. But to be forced to do 5-7 minute appointment times, I promise you, hurts the doctor as much as it hurts you as a patient.
I'm sure.
When you show up and you're like, that's it? What now? What do you mean? So numbers up, numbers down, left, right, and that's it?
Right.
And you walk out more confused and more disillusioned than how you should be.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to take a moment to say that, and not to contradict your point. If anything,
No,
and if anything, just to shed light on our side of how you felt.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, for us, we're on the opposite side of the spectrum.
Yeah.
So that was my experience.
Right.
And it leads me to go out and research myself.
Right.
And then I start looking into products that are more on a natural base. But then again, like I remember I told you that I was doing these these smoothies,
Yeah.
right? Which taste absolutely terrible, but man, I feel
You didn't tell me that.
Amazing.
You did not tell me that.
God, that's horrible, man. It's horrible. So I did it for 2 weeks.
Like grass.
Fantastic. But then it happened to be that Dr. Dangond and I speak when I just started this, and I'm telling him, hey, I started this new smoothie. He's like, ah, you need to be careful, you know. So I tell him what it is, obviously because it's more on a natural perspective.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, but you also have to be careful because there are certain things that will affect or deregulate.
Yes.
Social media is full of trends, and we all follow these trends and so forth. But I think I did pretty good. I was able to overcome 2 weeks. Now it actually tastes better. I don't know if it's my taste buds. I'm like, all right, I'm done.
You burned them. They're just like, you know what? Screw it. If this guy's gonna give us this crap to drink, then we may as well get used to it.
Fair enough. All right, so now let's get a little bit into you.
Sure.
The younger version of Dr. Dangond. First of all, what drove you to medicine? And at what point did you realize this is not working? I want to go on my own path.
Sure.
Where did this all start?
That's excellent. I don't come from a family of doctors. There's one uncle that when I was much younger, at the times of when I was thinking about my life, you know, he is a gastroenterologist. But that's all I knew. That's it. He was just the stomach doctor. But that's it. My mother, God rest her soul, was a dentist in Colombia. We come from Colombia. And she...
That's where that good hair comes from.
Yes, it does. It's all my mother.
My wife's Colombian. Yeah. Her whole family's Colombian, so I could tell.
And so I grew up in a household of a businessman father and a scientific woman. And I just saw the way that both of their brains thought about the world. And I thought to myself, numbers is for the numbers guys. I want to figure out how the world works. I want to figure out, like, you know, why the grass grows, and biology and chemistry and things like that. So very early on, those were my favorite subjects. And then sometime in middle school or high school, it hit me that in my friend group, mind you, I'm 14, 15, 16, but in my friend group, I was always kind of the person that people confided in. I don't know if it's just kind of like an aura thing or it's a vibe, as the kids are saying, right? But people have always felt very comfortable sharing things with me and really opening up without me sometimes even saying a word. And so I thought to myself, I was like, well, I like being that person that listens. I like being the person that, for lack of any, I mean, I'm not giving any advice or experience about what that person's going through, but sometimes they just wanted to be heard. And I think I knew how to respond to that, if even in just an empathetic level. And so I put 2 and 2 together, and now I'm in 10th grade, and I thought to myself, maybe medicine is right for me. But there's a lot of paths in medicine, right? There's nursing, there's physical therapy, there's all this kind of stuff. And I remember one of my 10th grade teachers, she challenged me. She goes, you need to sign up for this anatomy elective. It was a 10th grade course. And she said, this is one of the toughest teachers in the school. This is one of the hardest workloads in terms of, you know, what you'll be doing. But you should challenge yourself and see if it's something that you enjoy. And I did it. And to this day, I keep in touch with, I'll say her name, Mrs. Melita. Yeah, so I still keep in touch with her. I've told her you are one of the most important reasons why I went into medicine is because of this class, because you taught me the beauty of the human body, anatomy, how things work, the interplay. And I remember walking out of that class with one of my buddies, and we both looked at each other and we go, I'm going to be a doctor. And we both said it together. We're like, I want to be a doctor. And now he's an emergency physician. So he's an emergency physician. I'm a family medicine physician. And so that was how that happened. And you know, that's how it all came to be that I chose this path. Now, as any young doctor, high school student, college student will tell you, the vision that you have of what being a doctor is what the movies and shows taught you. It's kind of just the scratching the surface. It's a lot of this. It's the talking with the patients, the holding their shoulder, touching their hand, but then of course the hustle and the bustle of the science and these big cool fancy words and antibiotics for this and medicine for that and whatever. So it all comes together in that way. But then you get to the later years of medical school, where you actually go out into the field, right? The first 2 years of medical school are called didactic. It's all about head down in the books, sleeping, eating, dreaming about medicine, and you're super excited, and you go out there 3rd and 4th year to start learning how doctors work in the hospitals, in the clinics. And you start to see a pattern. And that's when it all kind of falls apart. The veil is kind of moved. The rose tinted glasses, right? They turn back to normal color, and you're just like, what the heck? Some of these appointments are lasting 6 minutes. A lot of the doctors look very tired. They look very frustrated. the hospital's a different story. That I still think that functions quite well, but it's the clinic, which is what interested me. The personal side of medicine, and I just started to see all these things. I was like, I don't know, something feels off. It's like I was taught to ask all these questions and do all these things and spend time, but yet here we are putting the last 2 years into motion, and it doesn't seem to be happening, and not in a way that would produce liability or nothing like that. It just something didn't click. Like, okay, well, we'll push through. We'll keep going. I found my love for family medicine on a rural rotation. Actually, I was out in Pahokee, Florida. You guys heard of Pahokee, Florida?
I know exactly.
You guys know where Belle Glade is? Maybe you don't know where Pahokee is, but you've heard of Belle Glade. Belle Glade is a small town at the southern part of the Lake Okeechobee. Pahokee is a tiny town in comparison. And my med school sent me out there to go do a rural rotation with a family medicine doctor who was the only doctor for miles. And the specialists were all 2 to 3 hours away in Wellington and in West Palm Beach. So I got to see a doctor truly shine, truly use all of his abilities. Not a specialist, but this guy would do everything possible. He would take it to the limit before he said, you know what? We need help. We need a cardiologist now. We need a gastroenterologist now. We need a urologist now. And I was like, okay, wait a minute. So this is what I thought being a doctor was. This is the rose tinted glasses came back. And I was like, my heart was pounding. And I remember thinking to myself, I was like, this is it. This is what I want to do. Now, do I enjoy the rural lifestyle? Not so much. I prefer the urban lifestyle. But I thought to myself, like, I need to figure out a way to take the rural medical style into the urban.
Oh, that's great.
Right? And then not to make the story much longer, but I get to residency. And now I'm a doctor. The day you graduate med school, you go to sleep a med school or med student, you wake up the next day a doctor. And now it's only family medicine. So now it's learning how to be the specialist that I am today, which is the everything doctor. And I'm starting to see the patterns again. And I'm starting to see the frustrations and the limited time with the patients and a lot of just administrative constraints on the relationship with the patient. And then it hit me again. I was like, man, here we go again with this. What the heck is going on? It's like, you get taught one thing, but then the job is another thing. And then we'd go to our classes as residents and we learn certain things, but then we go back to the clinic and now we're doing things differently again. And it's like, it just didn't make sense to me. And second year of my residency, it's a 3-year residency for family medicine, but the second year I met a doctor who came and gave us a talk about how she found her passion for medicine again after leaving the system after 10 or 15 years and launching her own direct primary care office. And you could see the light coming off of her. She was smiling the whole time she was talking about it. She was telling us about how she spends an hour with her patients and how she can really, sit down afterwards and think about things and call people and coordinate better. And it's like, in all of this, because she lifted the constraints that the traditional system placed upon you. Now, this is very important because it gets to how does direct primary care work. Direct primary care doctors have all said, goodbye, no thank you to insurance contracts. So we don't get paid for our time, for our consultation by the patient's insurance, which is how the normal system works. We ask the patient to go into a direct contract, month to month, or several months, or sometimes even a year. It's your business. You work it out however you want. And this is the big kicker: is we don't set price points that are out of the reach of most people, right? That's concierge medicine. I'll leave that for a different talking point, but that's the big difference. Is we're not charging $500 a month. We're not charging $5,000 a year. Most of us are looking at our where we work and where we live, the standard of living, the cost of rent and such. And we're looking for price points that make sense. Like my lowest price point is $89 a month. After a certain age, you go up to $109 a month and it never changes.
Interesting.
And that's the direct care. That's the business side of it. But what that simple change to stop receiving reimbursement from the insurance companies allows me to do is I get to use my full brain again because I have the time back. And so I'm reinvesting the time that the privilege that the patient has allowed me to care for them, I get to reinvest back in them in the form of time and in the form of a smaller patient panel instead of a gigantic 4,000 or 5,000. I've heard of up to 10,000 patients for some doctors, which is insanity. And so I hope that made sense. If you guys have any questions at this point, let me know so that we can clarify. But That's the story. That's it. That is how we got from 10th grade to today.
That's so profound.
Yeah.
At 10th grade, a lot of kids just have no mind
Yeah.
what the heck their real life is going to be after they leave.
Yeah.
So, yeah, some teachers do count, man.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, man. Oh,
Yeah.
man. 100%.
I know when I was in 10th grade, all I cared about was football.
Hey, but to different strokes, different folks,
Of
as they
course,
say,
of course,
right?
of
You
course.
know,
Yeah.
I was always
So
very
profound.
focused on that. I mean, I didn't have any family pressure or whatnot, but I was always in, honors courses and this and that. So my personal friend group was talking about college, was talking about what do we think we want to do with our lives. And I'm very, very fortunate to say that I still keep in touch with a lot of my high school friends who are now lawyers, engineers,
That's fantastic.
businessmen, marketers, or whatnot. So I was very fortunate to have a group that meshed with me.
Yeah.
Just like I had friends that to this day are they're football coaches for high school teams or personal trainers, and everybody just has a different passion for what they want to do. But I was lucky enough to find mine back in 10th grade.
The
Yeah,
right circle of influence.
yeah,
That was meant to be. That story, the rule where it
Yeah.
actually turned, and that's where you were able to see exactly what medicine should be now.
And that happened at the very end of my medical school career. That happened early 4th year. So right before we start applying for residency programs in our desired specialty.
It's meant to be.
Yeah, it really that was what made me fall in love with the original reason I went to med school, was to be able to work that way.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, you'd be a great speaker, especially for young medical students. And
Well,
so
that's
forth.
in the works.
Yeah,
Yeah, God willing,
your path, your vision is definitely something that should be at least introduced to all these young doctors before they get caught up in the system.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I mean, one of my future passion projects is what's the expression? It's it's don't speak about what you're doing, just show the results kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right? Your results speak louder than you talking about it. So my goal is, you guys know my practice is early days. We've only been open since October. But my goal is that when this practice is at its full function, God willing, a year, 2, 3 from now, I can then have a product to show, and I can say, look, I did it. It's working.
Sure.
This is how it was meant to be for me. My patients love the way that I practice, and then I can go and I can talk to med students and family medicine residents and say, this is a possibility. This is something you can do too. If I could do it 2 to 3 years out of medical training, there's nothing stopping you either. And you don't have to put yourself in a situation where you may be unhappy with the rest of your career just because that's the way the system has structured the job. Because one thing is the career, the other thing is the job.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys feel that way in your industries as well, but
Absolutely.
it's like you get trained to do things a certain way, you get taught certain things, but then when it's time to do the job, it's so different than what you were taught to do.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like I'm capturing that essence for me again with this practice.
That's
be the change you want to see in the world. Love it, man.
That's
I
fantastic.
like this guy. I like this so much.
I'm liking everything.
Thank you.
Also.
Thank you. Thank you.
If we can go into the human engine analogy.
Sure.
Right? So Esteban and I, we talk to a lot of gearheads, whether that be, motorcycle guys or car guys. We hang out with a lot of car.
Sure.
I'm a car guy.
Yeah.
So if we treated our bodies the same way that a lot of these guys treat their custom motorcycle.
Oh, man.
With the oil changes, the high grade fuel, and the custom tuning, what would that be different to men in the lifespan?
Try to draw some parallels.
Correct.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm a computer guy. I'm not a car or motorcycle guy, but I think I can relate to the tinkering, right?
Yes.
The opening it up, moving a wire around, getting a new motherboard, putting some RAM in, and for you guys, it's all the other fancy words you guys like to use, right?
I've tricked out computers.
No, man, the parallels are exactly the same, and I think for car or machine enthusiasts, let's just keep it simple. Machine enthusiasts, you know what it takes to optimize, to keep that thing beautiful and running perfectly, and you can hear the difference between when one screw is too tight or when one screw is too loose. But a lot of guys don't think of their body that way. And it's really the same thing, right? It comes down to what's happening on the inside, what's happening on the inside and on the outside, and then what are you putting into that machine? You know, you guys are probably choosing high-end parts, quality parts. You're moving tubes around and switches and cables, and it's like, well, why don't we do the same thing for ourselves? And it doesn't have to be an expensive, confusing process. It really is establishing that the chassis, right? This chassis is where it needs to be, that your bones are healthy, that your blood is healthy, that your intestines are healthy, that your brain is healthy, that all the different moving parts and pieces are working how they're supposed to be. And if they're not, what are we going to do about it? And let's do something about it today, not 3 months from now, not 5 months from now, or years from now. I think what happens with men in particular is we're very blessed as men that for the most part during our puberty years up until our late 20s, it's like everything works, right? Everything just works. Nothing hurts. Your knees work, your muscles pop. You can eat as much spicy food as you can consume. You don't gain weight. Your brain isn't weighed down by the pressures of life yet. Everything is awesome. You get a sunburn and tomorrow you look nice and toasty. You're not, you know what I mean? It's like everything just works. And then after a certain while, things stop working that way. And we have a hard time accepting that.
Yes.
We have a very hard time accepting that it's not going to be the same as it was when we were 20 years old. I mean, hell, I'm 34, almost 35. And I can tell you, I'm already starting to feel it when I don't have the right posture and I'm sitting on my chair. My lower back starts kind of telling me. My knees just don't respond the way they used to if I've been dancing all night long or you know what I mean, or going for a long run or whatever. And it's important to listen to those things and just open the conversation with your doctor. Now, of course, that takes having a doctor that has the time for you, but that's how I think that we can draw. Yeah, I mean, just to wrap up that thought. It is just stopping and looking at yourself and saying, okay, what's not working? What should, who do I ask about this? When should I ask about this? And the answer is right now, and to your primary care doctor that you feel you have a relationship with, because that person's been they've gotten to know you for a while now. They know that you're not one to complain about this, that, or the other. And that if you're asking questions about this, is because number one, it's interesting you, and number two, it's concerning you. And that's it, guys. I mean, it's like if you spend that much time with your bikes or your cars or your computers or whatever machine, think about how much time you devote thinking about that machine, and then how much time you spend touching that machine and how much time you spend tinkering with that machine. Do the same thing for yourselves. You deserve the same thing as well. That's pretty much that's it. That's the whole analogy, really.
That's a great question, Alfred.
Yeah.
I love that, man.
That's a good one.
Good question.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, bro. So, getting into exactly this topic.
Yeah.
And as you were speaking, it kind of dawned on me a question. We as men, the masculinity in our youth, in our early 20s, we're unstoppable. We're strong. We're built Chevy tough or Ford tough, however you want to do it. It doesn't matter. Nothing stops us. But exactly. At a certain point, things start to change. And I think that men, I don't know if in the 20s, I think for me, for example, I may have noticed changes in my with my body, with how I react, even my strength and so forth. I've been blessed with a healthy body, man. I thank God every day for that. But in my case, you start realizing, damn, I am getting a little older. I don't react the same way. My body doesn't recover as fast. How a man like myself, for example, and every other man, like when you start realizing that, now it becomes a mental thing.
Yeah.
Like I don't perform the way I used to perform. Now I'm not as masculine anymore. I don't have that same type of strength. Does my family look at me the same? Do my coworkers look at me the same? Am I that same tough, strong, machine that I was?
Sure.
We are, but now it becomes mental.
Correct. And you've said some very important things. And if that's the thought process, the first thing you have to understand is that you have to change the mentality that just because your body's changing does not make you any less masculine or any less of a man. It just means that you're becoming a different man. Okay, you have new limitations that you can always learn to live and optimize at the peak for. But just like any, going back to the machine, just like any good machine, that machine eventually is going to need replacements. And in the long haul, you're going to see wear and tear. Okay, so the important thing is, where can you enact change on the wear and tear, and where do you simply just have to recognize there's new limits, right? So it's a mindset shift, because just because you can't lift the same weight does not mean you're lacking something. Just because you can't last as long in whatever activity doesn't mean you're lacking something. It just means your ceiling is changing, your limit is changing. And this is where we get into a very, very interesting, controversial, and sometimes even dangerous topic. This whole like longevity, biohacking, all these like fancy new terms. We got to be really careful with that stuff, because it sounds good on the surface, but there's very little basis for it. Like Bryan Cranston, have you guys heard of this guy? This guy that's doing all sorts of crazy stuff to like increase his decrease his biological age. All these,
I think I've heard of that.
Yeah.
all these longevity doctors and medical experts and whatever, they'll throw fancy terms out like, you know, I might be 54, but my biological age is 28. It's like, what the hell? Like, I don't, you know, that's all marketing nonsense. That's all, let me sell you supplements. Let me talk to you about peptides, which is a whole thing too. But to get back to the original question, proper health is simply recognizing that it's okay to age. It's okay to have new limits. It's okay to accept the different stages of being a man, right? As life changes, because biologically speaking, we were designed in our youths. That was the time when we were supposed to be mating. That's the time we were supposed to be protecting our village. That was the time we were supposed to be exploring our environments. That was a time when we were supposed to be unstoppable on purpose. We were supposed to be able to kill a deer on our way to the next village and eat some berries and not have digestive issues, right? But seriously, I mean, well, let's get real biological about it, because this really does impact reality. I mean,
back
when
then they would eat only 3 times a week.
I mean, we have to we have to consider that we, over the last couple centuries, is when humanity has really ramped up a new way of living. But our bodies, in my opinion at least, have not evolved physically as quickly as our brains and society has. And so we get frustrated when it's like, well, what the hell? Now I'm 35 or 40 and I'm not the same guy I was at 20 something. So to go back to that kind of funny analogy, that's the way that I like to think about it, is, you know, when you were in your youth, you were supposed to be the ones protecting the village. You're supposed to be the ones protecting the household, gathering, hunting, this, that, and the other. But who was running the village? The elder, right? The sage, okay? The older man that, or woman, that their body had caught up to them, their physical body had slowed down, but their mind was continuing to expand, right? That's another thing that we take for granted, is, you know, we have so much more to offer the world as men through our mind, right? Through our experiences, through our professionalism, our expertise, more than our bodies. And that's a beautiful thing. But we get caught up in, why can't I lift the same as I was lifting 5 years ago? But we don't stop to think and say, yeah, but 5 years ago I was an idiot, or you know, when I was 25, I was an idiot, and I couldn't have the same level of conversations that I can have nowadays, or I didn't see the world the same way that I see. So, do you guys get what I'm saying? It's a lot of it's so much about becoming comfortable with the changes that happen to us physically, while learning to love and accept the changes that happen spiritually and mentally, right? We go back to that osteopathic triangle.
Sure. And
that's, I mean, but until someone says this to you, or until somebody has this conversation with you, you don't stop to think about it, because unfortunately we live in a society where physical strength and physical masculinity is sometimes meant to be superseded above everything else. And that's only because it's very easy to sell supplements for the physical body, right? Yeah. So it's like, it's all about, it's just like, how can we sell these poor guys that are slowing down on the fact that, hey, how does a commercial sound? You have testosterone problems, you know, when's the last time you took, you know, whatever explode? Yeah.
You
know what I mean?
It's a very real real issue. It's a very real. It's funny.
100%.
And thank you for that segue.
Yeah.
I'm actually on TRT.
Yeah, and that's great.
And
I'm happy to talk about that.
There's a lot of what I call bro science.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, there is.
Regarding TRT, hormone health.
Yes.
I'm sorry. What is TRT?
Testosterone replacement therapy.
Yeah.
Okay.
For the entrepreneurs
Mhm.
or the writers out there who feel like they're losing their edge, and this is not just men.
Yeah.
Hormone or disbalance of hormone
Mhm.
issues, male and females, is a very real thing.
Super.
So, what is the real, in your professional opinion, what is the real truth about maintaining peak performance as we age?
Yeah. So I think it's simplest to talk about this through the lens of the hormones. All right. I think people kind of understand them, and it's sort of what they look at and think about. So we'll start there, and we'll expand outward. At a certain point in every man's life, for what we've just discussed, it is okay for testosterone levels to start to decrease. Okay, there's two different problems with testosterone: the premature and the normal. Okay, if you're 26 and your testosterone is where it should be for a man in their 50s, that's a problem, right? Now, that doesn't mean that just because testosterone is meant to decrease over our lifespan that we can't supplement it or replace it adequately. Okay, and that is a TRT. We have to look at the whole acronym: testosterone replacement therapy, not testosterone overdose therapy. Okay, okay, because well, but you know what? Because the conversation has shifted, because of the ease of accessing testosterone or estrogen or whatnot, there's a lot of money to be made out there for the young guy, the young firefighter, the young police officer, the young physical laboring professional who wants more performance or more of an edge. And it's like, well, we got to be careful, because those guys' testosterone levels could very well be normal. And if we're supplementing or replacing something that's not missing, we're going to cause problems in the future.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So to start this whole conversation, we have to start the right way, which is you check your levels. All right. If your levels are low normal or below normal, and you have symptoms of low testosterone, you're a candidate for replacement therapy. If your numbers are low normal or normal and you have symptoms, we get into a gray zone. But if you have no symptoms, truly no symptoms of low testosterone, and your levels are normal, we got to think about the mental component. Are you just comparing yourself to who you were at 25? Are you comparing yourself to other guys in your age cohort? Are you comparing yourself to what the commercial's telling you should be doing? And then we got to really just get back to basics and say, do you really need replacement, or do you just need a little bit of optimization? Or do you not need it at all? And someone's got to be able to hit the brakes on that truthfully. Because if your levels are normal at 45, at 50, congratulations. I mean, you have the same testosterone levels you had at 25. It's just the rest of you that has lost a little bit of that physical edge or a little bit of that physical peak. And that's not a problem. That's not an issue. That is okay. That is normal. And then moving beyond the hormones, the rest of optimization is making sure your blood pressure is normal, making sure that your thyroid is functioning correctly, making sure that your arteries aren't becoming full of plaque, making sure that your bones are nice and strong. That's what we call preventative medicine, and the things that we need to make sure that are under control now so that they're not causing early aging or early loss of physical peak optimization or whatnot. So it's more than just testosterone. I think a lot of guys hope testosterone is going to be the magic edge they're missing. And initially they feel great. Initially they do get a boost if they're truly on the low end of normal. But once they're on it for a while, you know, they'll be doing great, and they have a little bit more energy and they have a little bit of more strength, which they were lacking because they were low in testosterone, but they're still not 25.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's the part that guys have a struggle grasping. And to that I say, it's okay. Mm-hmm. It's okay. How's your mind doing? Is the testosterone helping you to think clear? Are you less tired? Are you less foggy? Are you less fatigued? That is a much more important benefit of testosterone replacement therapy than getting you to lift 25 more pounds at the gym.
Right.
Because of that analogy of we are becoming the older man, the more wise man, the more complete man, the one that in today's world has established a safe place for our family, right? Economically stable. We have a house, we have a car, we have food, and we are in a position as men where we are allowing our boys and the next generation of men to then transition to where we are, right? It's all about helping just keep the life cycle moving, right? And it's okay to understand that so long as your brain is functioning correctly, your body might be slowing down a little bit. That's okay. You're not expected to be in the gym lifting a bunch of heavy weight. You need to be in the office running that business. You need to be in your industry doing what you were meant to be doing, using your brain power, using our modern human abilities as opposed to our primitive physical abilities, right?
Exactly.
That's how I think, at least. Okay.
Everything that you mentioned, you hit dead on the nose. Specifically on my case, I'm not on it because I wanted to lift or squat what I used to squat. The reason, and I think this is good for our audience also, these are not the kind of conversations that people have just openly, unless like you're like a big gym guy and you want to start running, and it's not steroids, guys. We're not talking about steroids, all right? In my case, it was a scenario where I truly was way below the range. And this was, I've been on it now for about a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
I turned 50 this year. So, late 40s is when it actually hit me.
Mm-hmm.
What triggered it on me was everything from emotional roller coasters. I couldn't focus on work. I wasn't sleeping. I was tired all the time. I couldn't open a freaking jar.
Yeah.
Forget about lifting weights.
Yeah.
It was like, what the hell is going on? So I went down this path of, getting my blood panels and actually seeing what's going on. Not just the testosterone.
Mm-hmm.
There was vitamin D deficiencies. There was other things that you wouldn't know unless you're actually talking to a professional.
Mm-hmm.
But now, a year and a half later, I've way reduced my my dosage. It's like a micro dose is what I do, and you would know about this, doctor.
How are you taking it, if I might ask? Are you doing the gel or?
It's an injection.
Injection. Okay.
I do 0.4 a week.
Okay.
But now it's middle to normal.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be way below the range.
Yeah.
To the point that everybody I spoke to, professionals included, they're like, yeah, you need to do something about this. So I did.
Right.
And now life is grand.
Good.
It had nothing to do with sex or not being able to perform or anything like that. I've always had no problem with that. But the emotional side of it, I was crying in commercials watching TV. Like, oh my God, the poor kid, the dog, the puppy. That's never been me.
Yeah.
And I know now when my numbers are up and down just from how I feel. So I think that's very important. If there's anybody out there, because we talk a lot about, mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If there's anybody out there that you think that you're going nuts, maybe you should get checked out.
I mean, 100%.
I truly felt like something was really wrong with me. And
100%.
I didn't think that I needed to go see a therapist, like a mental, like straight a doctor. Maybe I do. But this was, in my case, something that you could get checked out, do a blood panel, and now you have a game plan.
Sure.
So I appreciate you saying that.
Absolutely.
Everything you said was almost on the nose for your description of it.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Man. That's good that you shared that, man. I think a lot of men may not even admit to themselves the things that are happening, the changes that are happening in their bodies. So it's good that you said that, because to a viewer that's seeing this now, maybe they relate. It's like, oh wow, maybe I actually feel that, and it's okay. Like Dr. Dangond says, it's okay. It's part of aging. It's part of becoming a wise man. The leader of the tribe. That's exactly what it is, and that's kind of the way that we older men need to look at it.
Correct.
100%.
Correct. You have so much more to offer society through a healthy spiritual mind connection.
Yeah.
Than a perfectly chiseled, optimized, testosterone-ridden physical body.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And also, it goes hand in hand. If you feel better physically, then your mind starts to work right. You know, like you're not
Yeah.
freaking out thinking that you're going crazy.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
something physical that could be, you know, corrected. Quality of life,
100%.
much better.
Yeah.
Anybody out there, if you have questions, I can only share my personal experience.
Yeah, but obviously, that's why we're sitting with Dr. Dangond. I think this has been as real as it gets. You know, sitting down and speaking, especially about men's health. Obviously, you know, we're talking about men, but you know, even women as well too. Your practice,
Oh yeah,
with everyone.
Oh yeah. I do children from 14 and up, and then adults as old as they come.
Yeah.
You know, and so and like I said, the big thing is the caveat, if you will, which is, I mean, Esteban can account for this. It hasn't been at all an issue. I just don't. My time is not paid for by insurance. I ask my patients that if they want to have a different relationship, a more traditional, better relationship, that we just go into a month-to-month contract. That's it. And as far as I've done the math, I think 89 or 109 a month is pretty reasonable, considering, you know, Miami, considering where we are, considering just, you know, the market. And you know, I don't want to only be the doctor for the ultra wealthy or the elite. There's plenty of other doctors doing that. There's plenty of concierge doctors out there. That's okay. If that's the way you want to practice, by all means, no problem. But for me, going back to that rural medicine experience, you think these people had a lot of money? No, they were, you know, they had to make do with what they had. Just as a funny aside, I've never in my life did I ever expect for a person to come to their appointment on a tractor.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Or a wagon or something, right?
A horse. Somebody actually rode up on a horse.
Now that's cool, man.
I'd love that.
Okay.
If I could just clarify, and please correct me if I'm wrong.
Sure.
For those of you out there, the doctor has mentioned payment plans,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, out there in the world, like I'm a business owner, you're a business owner. Health insurance is different for people that run their own businesses as opposed to somebody who is an employee of a company or something of that nature. Everybody has to have some sort of health plan.
100%.
Right? So, and again, here, correct me if I'm wrong.
Please.
If you are an employee somewhere, you're actively paying insurance already, right? Every single month, it's either coming out of your check or you have some sort of automatic draw for insurance. What the doctor is explaining, that treatment, whatever the treatment might be, throw a number out there, you know, $500. Let's just for example, that $500, you could spread those payments out in months, a year, whatever the case might be. Is that correct explanation?
Perhaps, but let me expand on that. Okay, so yeah, so the charge that occurs once a month here at this office is the everything. Okay, so when you make your recurrent monthly payment, what you're basically guaranteeing is that you are one of a handful of patients that are members of this practice. For example, my end goal is probably around 500 patients, right? So in order to keep the promises that I make to my patients, I cannot have a gigantic patient panel. That's what happens in the traditional fee-for-service model. The reimbursement rates are so low for the doctor that they have to increase the volume that they see per day just to keep the lights on and just to make a reasonable physician salary. Reasonable, not excessive, near million a year type of salary. So to go back to the payment model, all it is that once a month payment, fully transparent. It never changes. What does that get you? That gets you appointments today or tomorrow. That gets you direct messaging with me. That gets you direct phone calls with me. That ensures that when we check your labs or when we check blood work or when we order something, I'm the one reporting back to you, not an employee, not somebody that doesn't have a way of answering a question you might have about what you've just been told. What it does is it guarantees that you're going to have me working for you, right? Not an army of staff. I mean, this office is made up currently of me and my office manager. That's it. Okay. In the future, we may add a medical assistant just to help me with a few administrative tasks. But as far as what you get is you get direct access to me, the physician, when you need it, within 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. I also make the promise to my patients that if you need to reach out to me after hours, you can text the private line that I give you, and I promise you I will screen that message. If I don't get back to you that night, it's because we can wait till tomorrow morning, and I'll get back to you tomorrow morning about it. If I call you back that same night, it's because I'm concerned. So that's how this whole thing works. That's why I'm charging that month-to-month fee. I don't get paid by insurance. There is no payment to me from your insurance company. Think of it like a car. I say this all the time. You have a car, you have a motorcycle, you have it insured. Are you calling your insurance when a light bulb goes out? Are you calling your insurance when it starts to squeak? Are you calling your insurance when, you got to do the oil changes, when you got to rotate the tires? You guys get what I'm saying, right? No, you call the insurance company when you're in a big accident. You're in a big expensive problem with that vehicle, but not for the things that keep it running, not for the day-to-day stuff. That's what this is. That's what primary care is. So all I'm asking my patients to do is to think of it in that way and reframe the thinking. You have your insurance from your employer, or you have your insurance, through the private market or what have you. Think of that health insurance like that for the big stuff. If you, God forbid, you end up in the ER, you have to get hospitalized for some reason. You need an emergency surgery. You need to see a specialist, and there's like heavy duty medications involved. That's where insurance shines. But what my world is different. My world is the day to day. It's these conversations that we've just had today. It's talking about diet and talking about the boring stuff that makes the most difference. If I do my job correctly, you're never seeing a specialist, right? If I do my job correctly, you're not ending up in the ER, right? You have the relationship with me to call me first, to let me triage you, right? You know what, Esteban, that abdominal pain is concerning me for a potential gallbladder stone or an appendicitis. That needs to go tonight to the ER. Okay? But if instead the conversation is like, hey, you know what? Nothing that I've asked you is ringing any red flags in my head. Why don't you come in tomorrow to the office and let me check you out? Where else are you getting that? Right? Yeah. Where else are you getting that? For your viewers, I want you to stop and ask yourself this question. When's the last time you called your doctor's office and they told you that they had an appointment before 3 months?
That's very true.
Okay.
It's gotten worse. It's gotten worse.
Especially with parents. I have a young daughter, 2 years old.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys out there have kids, you know what we're talking about. If you're having to do an appointment for kids, and it's going to be a month out, 2 months out, 3. We've heard 3 months out, so that's very, very real.
It is very real, and for routine stuff where it's more just like, hey, I got to come in for my checkup. Fine,
right?
But not when it's 4:30 and all of a sudden you have a sharp stabbing pain in your lower abdomen, and you're fearing for your life, right? I mean, most people naturally are going to make the decision and say, you know what, I should go to the ER for this. I'm scared for my life. How nice would it be to be able to talk with your doctor first and say, hey, I know you. I know we just did some blood work. I know we've been working on this, that, and the other. This doesn't seem right. I'm in agreement. Please go to the ER to make sure that everything's okay. And hopefully I'm wrong. Okay. Hopefully what I'm considering I'm wrong about. I never want to be right. When I send someone to the ER, I never want to be right. I worry about certain things, and obviously it scratches that professional itch of like, you know what, I'm considering something very serious, and if it ends up being that, well, then you're in the right place. But I always want to be wrong about those things, because I'd rather the ER say, hey, all the emergencies are clear, it's not the worst case scenario, then come in the next day or come in the day after and let's work on it right away. Let's get to it. What the hell just happened? Let's figure it out. Not, hey, I went to the ER, they told me everything was fine, so when can I come in and talk to the doctor? 3 months from now. What? It doesn't make any sense.
That's crazy.
It doesn't make any sense. I mean, right? Let's go back to the bikes and the cars.
Yeah.
Hell, something serious happens to your beloved machine, and you call your mechanic and they're like, yeah, man, sorry, you're gonna have to wait 3 months until I can check this thing out.
It doesn't make sense.
What? Yeah. Right? It doesn't make sense, but somehow we've allowed for it to make sense with our health.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Those
are great points.
Pause. We don't lose everything.
Makes perfect sense.
So now for our viewers, right? Man sitting here is looking, whatever, because lately we've had a lot of female influential, positive, just telling us, hey, I love what you guys are doing. I know that you guys are very male oriented and so forth, but a lot of these things are resonating with us, which is making us feel amazing, man. Like, it's just, I love that our content is really touching the lives of people in positive ways. And this is the ultimate goal. That's why we've been sitting here with you at our last podcast. I don't know how we got into this conversation, and then we talked about mental health. And I'm like, oh my god, we need to go see Dr. Dangond. He's gonna be on the next episode, so it's gonna be perfect. But now, for example, our viewers that are watching this and they're intaking it,
Yeah.
and a man sitting there in his mid-40s, mid-50s, whatever, and he's saying to himself, okay, I need to do something. Give us 3 points that someone at that stage sitting behind the computer right now looking at this. What's the first 3 steps that they should do right now to start optimizing their health, or what do you suggest?
I mean, obviously, first and foremost is find yourself if you're struggling that much, find yourself a professional, a doctor that you can work with to figure out if it's truly health issues, or to try to triage if it's more a mental health issue, or if it's none of that stuff, which would be the unusual scenario. But how do I optimize myself, my health currently? Well, number one is just do a check-in. Just ask yourself, am I okay? Do I feel okay? Am I tired? Am I groggy? Am I unable to focus? Is my weight getting away from me? When's the last time I took a walk? What do I eat on a day-to-day basis? The basic stuff, right? And if you're struggling with finding answers to these questions, then let a professional help you. It's supposed to be your primary doctor that you can ask these questions to. Going back to my training, right? This is what we were trained to talk about. We were trained to talk about the day-to-day stuff. We were trained to talk about, are you eating the best? Is your weight getting ahead of you or away from you? Are there legitimate reasons for why you feel tired and foggy and you're not performing mentally or physically where you should be? And so, of course, naturally, step 2 after you finish checking in with yourself is talk to your doctor, try to make an appointment. Ask yourself if you have that kind of relationship with your primary care doctor. And if you don't, perhaps this office might be a good fit for you. Not to plug myself in, but there are other doctors like me out there that still think the way that I do, or that want to work the way that I do. And those are the ones you want to be talking to about these kind of problems, because these are the day-to-day optimization things that we can check blood work for, do a physical exam about, but more importantly, build a relationship for it. Because not everything is a blood test, not everything is a marker, not everything is a biomarker, not everything is a physical manifestation. A lot of this is just talking. Now, doctors, primary care doctors, we're not therapists, and we're not psychologists or psychiatrists, but we have received adequate enough training to be able to screen for whether what's happening with you truly is a mental health issue. And we can help with that, or at the very least redirect you towards the right resources. But that's step 2 is get yourself into a primary care doctor's office, get yourself your physical exam, get yourself your basic blood work, and then start establishing a relationship with your doctor. Say the following to them: I'm here because I want to start working on myself again. I want to start to make sure that my health is where it's supposed to be. I'm not just here to do an annual physical to make sure that the big bad stuff isn't happening. I want to be more proactive. And then third and finally, once you've done that, then take the advice that you've been given and really put it to work, right? It's not just eat better. Well, okay, well, what does eat better mean? I mean, we live in the world of information. YouTube, man, I live on YouTube. I joke I have a PhD in YouTube because I'm going down the rabbit hole all the time. I'm always reading and learning.
Same.
Yeah, same. It's like, there's websites that are trusted sources. Like, for example, if you're a diabetic, the federal government has a diabetes website on how to cook for your diabetes. But I think YouTube, honestly, guys, I think YouTube is the end all be all. Like, make sure they have the verified check mark. Make sure that it's a legitimate nutritionist and it doesn't look like an influencer trying to sell you some weird little product or whatever. But there's people out there just like us here having these podcasts and conversations that are trying to just do things legitimately and realistically. So put the plan into motion and get active and talk to your friends, talk to your dad if your dad's still around, talk to your cousins, your brothers, your guy friends, man. Like, be open about these things, not for the sake of comparison, but for the sake of making sure that you're where you're supposed to be.
Love it.
Amazing.
You touched on nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
Esteban shared with us recently about his morning routine, the watermelon and beet juice.
And that's supposed to help circulation. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Awesome. So from a clinical standpoint,
Sure.
how much can small adjustments, your natural intake, make that needle go in the right direction?
Sure.
If you can touch on that.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said again, there's some things that you can measure. There are some blood tests for these kind of things, like sugar, like cholesterol, like fat in the blood. But nutrition is so much more than just numbers. It's a lot about how is it making you feel, and how is it impacting your mental clarity. For example, you may not realize that you've been struggling to go to the bathroom, right? You may find yourself sitting on the toilet having to really strain and push, and that became your new normal for a long time. And then you start drinking Esteban's magic beet juice, and now you go to the toilet and you have to you got, you know, it's like it's all just coming out nice and smooth, and it's like, whoa, that's nice. That's how it's supposed to be, right? So it's a lot of that kind of intangible, unmeasurable stuff. When you change your diet, when you change the timing of when you consume certain macronutrients, you feel it. You're less tired at 3 p.m. You're less hungry at 11:30, just dying to get to lunch. You know, you're less craving of certain bad foods because you've just sort of tweaked and
So
relearned what you're supposed to eat.
you've mentioned a couple of times now about different timing.
Yeah,
So if somebody's interested in researching stuff
Sure.
like that, like timing when to consume different things, where would they research something like that?
It's, I don't have a good answer for you. This is a lot of this is just coming from my own training. But try to find reputable nutritional blogs. Honestly, you know, social media, if used correctly, is a great resource. Okay, I know it's hard for the algorithm to start tweaking what you see, but once you start heading down the right path on Instagram or Facebook, you can really find people that are putting themselves out there with educational content that is truly educational. So that's one way to do it. Again, YouTube. I can't speak enough about YouTube when used correctly. But just, you know, just start Googling and then offering what you're finding to the health professional is more important than anything else. There's not one right resource, but if you're finding something that you're reading and you're like, you know, this seems legit, it's resonating. This all kind of makes sense to me. Let me ask my doctor about what he thinks about this, and then have that conversation about it. Right. But timing is super important. The timing of what you eat is almost more important than anything else. If you're your day-to-day office worker, right? And what does your day consist of? You wake up, you have breakfast, you get in your car, you get to the office, you sit for the next 4 hours, you go back to your car, you go find some lunch to go eat, you get back to the office. So it's sitting, right? Air conditioning, sitting, food. You got to ask yourself, what am I eating for lunch? And am I getting tired at the end of the day? Or what am I having for breakfast? And is it helping me to get to lunch without screaming for food at lunchtime, where you become a monster because you're starving and you can't think anymore? That's not normal, right? You should be able to get from one meal to the next comfortably, without feeling starved, right? If it's been a long couple of hours, well, naturally your stomach is going to let you know, but you should let your stomach let you know when you're hungry, and not your brain, right? So it's a physical hunger versus a mental appetite.
Like the anxiety that goes with it.
Yeah, or you feel yourself slow down, and it's like, my God, I can't think anymore, and it's only 11:30. Well, that's not normal. If you had breakfast at 6 or 7 in the morning, you should be able to last till 12, 1 or 2. And then same thing with timing your dinner time. You shouldn't feel so exhausted after dinner time that you can't move or go for a walk. This is a very nuanced conversation, but it's one that I do like to have with my patients when we sit down. And I've told Esteban, I was like, hey, send me the recipe for that magic smoothie you're drinking, and I'm gonna look into why it might be helping you, and you know, and why it makes sense for you, right? Because that's the thing about medicine. And medicine is personalized. It's not cookie cutter. Everybody's the same. It's who's in front of you. How does their body respond to stuff, and that's not a one-time visit thing that we can work on. That is a over time phenomenon that occurs, right? So when I tell people that I want to be their doctor for the rest of their life, I mean that. Because if I get to know, Esteban, how old are you when you joined, or how old are you currently?
I'm 51 now.
Okay, so you've been with me, I think, since November. I think it was November.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so it's like, if I know Esteban at 51, imagine when he becomes 60 or 65 or 70, and he's still my patient, how much more I can offer him at that point, as opposed to changing your primary once a year, every 2 years because your insurance changed or because your job changed or what have you.
And see what happened.
Yeah, man. It's like, that's old time medicine.
Yeah.
It's getting to know the person over the course of their lifetime.
No, it's generational too. And my
Yeah.
kids, and then their kids, and then you know the entire family. And
Yep.
that's what medicine should be.
Yep. That's what family medicine is, right?
Exactly.
But which brings me to another point I definitely want to touch on, and I say this all the time. The other beautiful thing about the fact that I've removed myself from insurance payments, like I don't get paid by insurance companies, is that I'm not dependent on them for my patient being a patient of mine. What does that mean? If your job has ever changed, and then your insurance has had to change, and then therefore now your primaries had to change, you're starting over again.
Because they're in a different network or whatever.
Yeah, the networks and the restrictions and all this nonsensical stuff that insurance has created, that's not good for you. That's not good for the patient.
Insurance is crazy.
It's not good for anybody.
Insurance is
It's not good for the doctor. They're losing a patient. It's not good for the patient. They're losing the doctor that is supposed to be the one that knows them over the course of their life. It's a mess. And so I often tell people one of the beautiful things about direct primary care is that I'm going to be your doctor regardless of what changes in your life, regardless of if your job changes, if your insurance changes, if you have to, I don't know, move a couple blocks away or whatever. I don't change. As long as you want me to be a doctor, I'll be your doctor.
Awesome,
That's all that
man.
matters. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm loving everything I'm hearing, man. For me,
Mm-hmm.
working out has always been my thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a workout guru, but
Yeah.
working out just balances it.
Yeah.
As a man, or just a human in general, like what is the importance of working out? What does it do?
Oh my God. I mean, what it does.
And by the
Yeah.
way, not to interrupt you.
Yeah.
But I don't want to get as extensive as working out. Meaning you got to go to the gym and lift. And this.
No.
Just
No.
simple thing of going for a walk.
So let's start with the simplest thing. Okay. There is. So this is studied and restudied, and every medical governmental body can agree on this, is every single human being should be taking a walk after they eat. Okay. A simple 10-minute walk. That process of movement, getting your muscles just moving enough to perform normal functions like walking. After you've eaten the food, okay, your stomach starts to digest, certain things start to make their way towards the intestines and then into the bloodstream. And so the process of moving, your body is now, your muscles are now telling your brain, hey, do the thing that needs to happen for that fuel to get to me. And so so that's super important because it removes excess sugar from the bloodstream and it puts it into the muscles where it's supposed to be, not to burn them in this like high calorie workout kind of way, but it's just to redistribute the fuel that you've consumed to where it's supposed to go so that it gets used accordingly. A lot of our health problems can be summarized by we're eating too much fat and too much sugar, and it's sitting in our blood and not going where it's supposed to go because we don't move. I mean, that's as basic as I can get it to you. Okay.
Yeah.
So that is one of the things I tell all my patients. It doesn't matter if it's just walking around your house. I don't care. Just circle your house if you have to. Circle the block. When you're at the office, get up, plan for your lunch break to include a walk outside around the building or around the yard or whatever you have available to you. Do 10 minutes, and you come back and you're like, okay, in Colombia we call it hacer la digestión.
Exactly.
Right? It's like, and I mean, hell, my in-laws have been practicing that religiously without realizing the benefit of it, but it goes to show how your brain interprets good, positive activities to the point where like they know it makes them feel better to take a walk after they've eaten. So why isn't everybody doing that? Because, well, maybe that wasn't a cultural thing they were taught. But that's one simple example of how exercise or physical movement impacts physical health.
Gotta move the body.
100%.
Gotta move the body.
But excuse me, cardiovascular exercise to the point where you're actually getting your heart rate up or sweating, and it doesn't have to be weightlifting. It doesn't have to be. There's benefits to resistance training as well, but just getting that heart rate above resting heart rate, producing sweat, that tells your brain, okay, we are entering a mode where different metabolic processes need to happen and different fuel sources need to be requested to be able to perform that activity. So when you sweat and when your heart rate is increased above normal, it tells your body, get the fat out of the fat stores, burn the excess sugar, essentially use the fuel so that it doesn't end up getting stored. And that's the name of the game. That's all nutrition is in a nutshell, is fuel consumption, fuel stagnation, fuel consumption, meaning exercise, or fuel, how do I put this? Fuel storage. Okay. The problem that most Americans face is that we don't go into the fuel usage, right? We consume the fuel lingers and hangs out waiting to see if it's needed. And then when it's not needed, it gets stored, and it gets stored as fat, and it gets stored as excess sugar.
Yeah.
And so that's why we're always fighting the uphill battle of, well, now we got to get rid of the excess. When in reality, all we need to do is just consume burn what we've consumed as we're eating it, right? So that's the importance of exercise. That's why it feels so good to be active. That's why it feels good after a while, once your muscles have adapted to lifting weights, to just getting into your own head for a little while, just putting the damn phone away, disconnecting from the world, just being comfortable with yourself, right? That is such a massive benefit of exercise, as well as that it's your hour, man. It's you and yourself, your head. And, try to not answer messages, try to not think about anything else. Just get comfortable with silence, get comfortable with your own thoughts. There's so much healing to that as well. And then, of course, the actual physical movement of your body just tells your body to use the resources that it's been storing appropriately so that they don't become excess.
Wow. I love it, man. There you go, man. Guys,
So
take your 10 minutes of your lunch break and go for a walk.
Yeah.
You're gonna feel great. I actually do that as much as possible.
Yeah.
So I'm in sales and I'm on the road all the time. So in between clients, even if I don't know where I'm at, if I don't go home, I'll stop at a local park and I just walk around the park, or work out, and but just even the simple thing. A person who's a 9-to-5er, you wake up, you go to work, and you go to lunch. Plan that 10 minutes. Walk that. Allow your body to digest, and you're gonna feel the difference.
And same thing in the evening time, right? Like if you have a partner or you have kids at home, man, incorporate that into your evening routine. Everybody just had dinner. How cool is it when the whole family gets around the dinner table? And you guys are talking at the dinner table. Everybody's talking about their day. Kids, what'd you learn at school, right? All the cliche stuff. And then before everybody gets back to their own little worlds, go for a walk.
Yeah.
Right, go for a walk. Your dog will thank you. Your body will thank you.
Yes.
Right?
I used to do that when I was
just
younger
take a
with my
quick
mom.
walk and get
that.
into the habit. Yeah,
I love that.
You will fall asleep feeling way less full. Your mind will get cleared. You're breathing fresh air.
Who can go to bed with a stomach that you're full to the rim?
But people do it.
But
People do it. People do it because some people look for that. Some people look for that. Oh, I'm so full. All right, nobody bother me. I'm just gonna, they want that, right?
You're so right. You're so right. Man, have you seen me do this?
Instead, it's like, all right, okay, everybody stretch it out. Let's go for a quick walk around the neighborhood, and then
so much of what you shared with us today has resonated. Thank you so much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
Dr. Dangond, if our audience out there wants to get in touch with you, how do they reach you?
Sure thing. So my practice name is my last name. Can they see this here?
I'll take a shot.
Yeah, perfect. So it's dangonddirect.com. That's the website. I feel I've done a pretty good job of explaining both in English and in Spanish. You can toggle it, whichever language you prefer, to explain what this is, why this exists, why I've chosen this as my preferred practice style, how you can sign up, what the benefits are, and that's the most important place you guys can land on. But just like everything, right? Do your own research, okay? Just look up what is DPC, what is direct primary care. I mean, hell, ask ChatGPT. Can you tell me the difference between direct primary care and the traditional healthcare model? What are the pros? What are the cons? And if it makes sense for you, reach out. We're available. Like I said, we're literally mom and pop. All right, it's me and my wife. My wife is not medical. She's the office manager. She runs the show. I'm just the talent, as I say. So look us up and
And
call.
not just a pretty face.
Yeah, well, thank you. And when you look us up, you'll see the phone number for the office. You'll see a way to email us. Just get in touch. Reach out. Come in for a meet and greet. That's something that we pride ourselves in. We can sit down for a full hour if you have questions, or 30 minutes. Just let us know. Come meet and greet us. No strings attached. If you decided this makes sense for you, then you sign up. You become my patient. And I can explain to you all the additional wonderful resources that I have available to me in order to make your healthcare more of a priority and more, or I should say, less expensive. I can teach you how to use cash in ways that you never imagined were possible for obtaining your primary care needs.
That's fantastic, Doctor. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
We appreciate your
welcome.
time.
No, thank you guys
for the knowledge.
Thank you guys.
Thank you. So guys out there, another episode in the books. Stay tuned. If you have not followed yet, guys, please hit that subscribe button. Message us down below. Hit us on Instagram. Esteban, tell the world how to reach you if they don't know how to reach you yet.
Guys, visit Throttle Therapy Project, also on Instagram. On our Helmets Off page, you have a link there as well too. Vtwin Skinz, our man right here, has got what you need for your motorhead to make your ride look amazing. And listen, we're a collaboration. You know, we're sitting here, we're doing what we do because we love what we do, and we just want to give back. We want to do something positive for the community, and let's just grow together.
Awesome, thank you for that. And of course, I'm Alfred, guys. Vtwin Skinz on all socials. That's Skinz with a Z. For all your restyling needs, guys, hit me up. I will take care of you. We will see you guys on the next.
That's right.
All right,
That's right.
Doc. Beautiful, love it.
So we're keeping it real. We want to keep it local. If you've got a business that fuels a lifestyle or a journey that forges warriors, let's talk.
Guys, sponsorship slots and guest chairs are open for those who live the grind. Shoot us a message, the helmet's off, and the door's open. Thanks a lot.